Welcome to the Unlocking Senior Resources podcast by Leave the Key. I'm Larry Wagner, and I've spent 30 years working with seniors where I was a certified senior advisor, and the last 15 years in the home buying industry as a certified senior transition specialist, where I specialize in dealing with seniors going through a transition in their lives. This podcast is for seniors, those with seniors they love, and people who work in the senior community. In each episode, we bring on a guest who works to improve the lives of seniors. This podcast is your key to unlocking senior resources. Welcome to the Unlocking Senior Resources podcast by Leave the Key. I'm Larry Wagner, and I've spent 30 years working with seniors in the financial industry space, and in the last 15 years in the home buying industry, where we specialize in dealing with seniors going through a transition in their lives. This podcast is for seniors, those with seniors they love, and people who work in the senior community. We bring on guests who provide important services for seniors, and today I'm with Gregg Balbera. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and thanks for inviting me to be here.
Very good. You're with Right at Home Nassau-Suffolk.
Correct.
Very good. So you could give everyone a little bit of information about you.
Sure. So myself, I spent 25 years on Wall Street, and about 11 years ago, when I was looking for a new career, my wife and I decided to get involved with Right at Home. We had 3 grandparents, and my wife's aunt, who we were especially close with, had all had Alzheimer's dementia. So we had seen our family members and those relatives struggling with all types of different issues that related to those diseases, and going to hospitals, going to rehabs, getting in-home care. So as we were looking for a new opportunity, we decided we had all this experience that we could bring to bear, and so it's been a great asset in helping probably well over 2,000 families since we started this journey.
Wow.
10 plus now, almost 11 years ago.
Wow, that's impressive. 2,000 families. I bet you feel good when you do this.
Absolutely. Every day is a great day for me, helping people. And it's not just the clients that I'm helping. I'm also helping, we employ about 200 caregivers. I have 6 members of our staff, administrative staff. So every day we're helping, people in their lives as well, providing good jobs, putting them to work, and offering them opportunities to advance as well.
Very excellent. I want to say that my mom had Lewy body dementia, and as soon as she got diagnosed and she started going downhill, it was a very fast, debilitating disease, unfortunately, and she spent 3 years fully incapacitated. But my sister took care of getting an aid, and she reached out to your company, your office, and we've had such incredible success with the aids you gave. Nobody's 100%, but the stories about home care workers and so on, so often so horrible. And in 3 years, we had one aide that was with her the entire time. And during that, when my mother passed, she called me, and I had to console her. She was so upset. Yeah. I'm the woman's son, right? And I had to console her. She fell in love with my mother. And I got to tell you, most of the aides did as well. One aide was so funny. My mother really had no affect because she was just basically paralyzed in every way. But this aide would dance in front of her and sing for her. This way, she would get a little bit of a chuckle would come out of her. Her body would just shake a little bit. She was laughing. And the amount of compassion these people showed, they were all so different. We had the one for 3 years. We had one for about 1.5 years. And then we had a few others that floated in and out over a period of time because this was a 24-hour care. But the people you supplied were outstanding, and I have only great comments to make. So as soon as I thought about bringing someone on in your industry, you're the first person I thought of.
Well, thank you for that. And obviously we take a lot of pride in exactly what you said. Every time we make a match, and to be perfectly honest, what we do is almost like a jigsaw puzzle every day. We're trying to match our clients and our caregivers to try and find that right fit. And as you said, sometimes it won't necessarily be the right fit on the first try. There's some personality involved, and sometimes just getting the right skill set involved with certain people can be a bit of a challenge. But every day we strive to make that connection where at the end of the day, the family member and will feel the same way about the caregiver, and the caregiver will feel the same way in that they are part of that family.
Right.
And that's something that we strive to achieve with every match we make.
It is. When it was with us for 3 years, we still communicate. We still speak. My mother's gone 2 years, and we still speak. She's like a sibling, and she feels the same way about me. So, I give you a score of a 98 in an issue where people probably give very, very low scores when it comes to just judging the people who come and take care of their family. So I think that was just outstanding.
And I have to give a lot of credit on that front to my wife. We kind of delegate our responsibilities in the office. So one of the things that my wife does and has done is she's administrating the office, and she's in charge of our HR process. So she, every candidate to work for us as a caregiver comes to our office. My wife speaks to, our HR coordinator speaks to. We take the time to try and get to know them so that we can say to ourselves, is this a caring person? Is this someone we would want to take care of our own loved ones? So they really kind of have to check those boxes before we would send them to go work for somebody else.
Well, that makes sense. And it was clear that she knows what she's doing.
Yep.
Clear she knows what she's doing. Well, if that's her role in the business, what exactly is your role?
So my role is I do a lot of the marketing. I do a lot of the finance portion of the business. I also go out and meet a lot of clients, as you and I had discussed when your mom first came on as a client. I went and met your parents. Your dad was also still alive at that time. Yes. And one of the things I was really impressed with, they were spent a lot of time showing me and telling me about their world travels. They were they had been all over the world. They had books, photo albums, and trinkets from all over the world. And usually my visits with people can be a half an hour, give or take. I think I probably spent 2 hours with your parents. Looking at their albums and getting to really know them. But one, I absolutely love that. I love to get to know people. I'm definitely a people person. But two, getting to know them in that way helped us to understand what would make the right caregiver fit for them, what's the right match for them. So really kind of knowing their personality, that goes a long way, I think. And I think that's why we were so successful in placing at least, certainly that one aide that was with your mom.
The other aides were also successful. Yes. I have no complaint. They were wonderful too. And they were all different. Yep. Every aide was different in the way they behaved, if you will. They dealt with my folks, and the one that was, the two of them, the one that danced particularly, and the one was here for 3 years. I don't really mention names. I don't know if it's appropriate, but they also took care of my father, which is not in their job. Their job is tend to my mother, who needed 100% care. She couldn't move or do anything, but they adored my father, which I gotta say, he was an adorable kind of guy, but. They just loved spending time with him because my mother would sleep a lot and so on. And they would just deal with meals for him and things that just were not in their responsibility, but they just became part of the family. As I said, siblings to me and children to my folks. So that was wonderful. I was so pleased. We were very scared in the process.
And your parents, your mother also had long-term care insurance. So one of the things that we're a licensed agency, so we are able to work with all our clients who have long-term care insurance. In fact, probably 50% of our clients have long-term care insurance, and we like to think that we provide concierge-level care with regards to that. So we are sending the long-term care company invoices, daily care notes. If they need our nurse to come out and do assessments, we do that at no charge to the family. So we handled all of that for your parents. So your dad had so much on his plate, trying to just deal with your mom and her current state and do the things that he could do to make her happy.
Yep.
So the fact that we were able to take that little piece off the table, the long-term care, which would be, just very administrative, I think definitely made a big difference in his life as well.
Yep. I get the regular sheets with all from them, all the breakdown. Yes, it was very easy for us. So from when my father passed, I was dealing with what he would normally deal with, and we really had nothing to do. The reimbursement checks just came in, and it was easy. Or I don't know if the checks hit, or the bills, but I think they paid you directly. But if I remember correctly,
no, they reimbursed you.
They reimbursed me. It was an automatic debit. Is how we had it being done. That's what it was. I remember not writing checks. It was a piece of cake. And I spent, when I was a financial advisor, I sold long-term care insurance, and I sold my parents the policy. So theirs is one that paid off, unfortunately, but it paid off. It turned out to be a good investment. This is a people business. That's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with people every day, and your wife's dealing with people at the one end, right? Interviewing the new caretakers and so on, and you're interviewing, if you will, the people who need care. You must have stories to tell. Is there a specific funny or interesting story that you would have in the 10 years?
Well, there's definitely a lot of stories.
There's a lot of, I'm sure there are.
I mean, everybody, every situation is unique. Every family is unique. Every client has a unique situation. So again, trying to make those matches is, I don't want to say it's challenging, but that's the challenge of the job, is trying to, to get that right. As far as, funny, I think one of the funniest things I find is a lot of times people will call us. A lot of times it's the children,
right,
who we're dealing with, the children of the adult, as in your case, and they'll tell us, mom is really resistant to care, and she is not going to stand for this. So how are we going to, to get past that? And I'm always like, listen, we're not going to be successful 100% of the time, but allow me to come into the house. I'll come. I'll meet with you, your parents, your mom, your dad, whatever the situation is. And we can talk about what it is that we're going to do, because I think this generation that we're taking care of, they're very fiercely independent. Many of them lived through the through the Depression, through world wars. They have a work ethic that probably a lot of people today don't necessarily have.
I agree.
So things are a lot different. So I think a lot of times, like when I can go in the house and I can talk to them, and I can kind of, first of all, I want to find out about them, how they think, what makes them tick a little bit. And then I can kind of tackle some of their issues. So first of all, just because you have an aide or a companion, it doesn't mean that you have to give up your independence. In fact, the ability to do certain things is like muscle memory. If we allow our aides to go in and do everything for our clients, they will stop being able to do those things, because it's muscle memory.
Yep.
So where our clients can do certain things, as an example, let's say cooking. Now, someone might have sciatica or really bad arthritis, and they can't stand for a long period of time, so they can't really stand in front of the stove. That doesn't mean they can't sit at the table and work with the aide and tell the aide, okay, get this spice, get this from the refrigerator, get this from the pantry. And then the two of them sit at the table. They prepare the food that has to be cooked.
Right.
But yet the mom in this situation, or this hypothetical, is really kind of marshaling that effort.
Right.
And then the aide will get up, put the food in the oven.
Right.
Yet the client has really kind of prepared the meal, for the most part, by herself with some assistance.
Right.
So that's a perfect example, I think, of, hey, we're not going to take things away from you. There are still a lot of things you can do, and what you can do, we want you to do. So I think that's the way I kind of explain things, and I think a lot of times that goes a long way in helping the people that we help serve realize, okay, this is going to be better for me. And a lot of times, in most cases, we find that people are very open to care. They like having the companion. A lot of times, in today's generation, where men and women are both working, their children can't be at the house with them, so they like having someone in the house to play games with them, go on a walk with them, take them out, whether it's to a senior center or the library or food shopping. So they're not sitting in the house or not watching 20 straight episodes of The Price is Right, which can be depressing. Yeah. We have like a beautiful day like we're having today on Long Island. Let's get out of the house. Let's, we definitely encourage our aides. It's a beautiful day. If that person has a walker, that's okay. Take them for a walk around the block. Bring some water. So if they need a drink, a lot of aides, a lot of the walkers have seats. They can stop, take a break, sit down on the walker. But let's not just spend all day in the house. We gotta change things up. Play chess, play checkers, play bingo. Rummy Cube is a popular game. Card games. We actually also have a full-time social worker on staff.
Oh, interesting.
So my social worker will go around and do unannounced supervisory visits, and when that's occurring, they're getting a better picture of what's taking place in the house. They can make suggestions as to, okay, what might be more successful? What can we do with this particular client? Or maybe the client's dementia is progressing, so things that they were able to do 12 months ago they can't do today. What can they do today? How can we get music involved? Music is a really good, usually positive stimulant. In the afternoon, when a lot of people who have dementia will experience sundowning, we want to talk about lighting. So my social worker or myself or my RNs will work with the aides to say, hey, at sunset, we want to turn on certain lights around the house. We want to, change the lighting, change the mood, make it seem like it's still daytime. So things of that nature. We try and bring a lot of different things to the table that can benefit.
That sunsetting thing I never heard. Is that because they sort of wind their day down otherwise?
So, there's no exact science as to why sundowning occurs, but the thought is that for many people, at a certain point of day, 5 o'clock, they were used to either coming home from work or having dinner or coming home and seeing their spouse at that time of the day. Right. So it kind of triggers something in their brain at that period of time. They're familiar that around sunset, that is when they would get back together with a loved one, and maybe maybe the loved one isn't there anymore. So that tends to be a common symptom for a lot of people with dementia. Not everybody,
Right.
but for a lot.
Everyone's different.
Yeah, so everyone's different. So, but we try and tackle that individually, on a case by case basis.
A few questions. How long? I don't know how to ask the question. Like my mom needed care for 3 years. How long is there an answer to this question? How long does the average person need your services?
So we have a wide range. We have our clients are kind of broken up into three buckets, for lack of a better term. We have short-term clients, and those might be people who are having knee replacements or hip replacements, shoulder replacements. They need us for a short period of time. Sure. Could be 2 weeks, could be a couple of months. Right. We have other clients who are more in the middle somewhere. And then we have clients with really progressive diseases such as Parkinson's or dementia, where we know those journeys, unfortunately, could last, anywhere from 7 to 12 or 15 years. Right. So we kind of run the whole gamut along those. Many clients will start with us, with our minimum level of service, 3 days a week for 4 hours. Right. And then over the course of a couple of years, they become 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, or 24/7 clients, just based on the nature of their ailments.
My father was very resistant to have anybody, and until he was helping my mother in the shower, and they both fell and hit the heads on the floor in the bathroom, and they called me to come pick them up, and that was it. The next day, my sister called you, and they started with just, I think, 4 hours a day, and was saying, Mom needs 24-hour care or at least 12-hour care, but that resistance you're talking about, and then my mother really wasn't aware at the time, but when it came to the aide helping her shower, she became aware, and that was something so foreign to her. Tremendous resistance, but first time, the aide made it through, and then after that, the second time was not an issue. But that resistance, that one I could understand, but my father, that fiercely independent generation you talk about, the idea of not being able to tend to his wife after, 60-plus years of marriage, how could that be? How could I need somebody? Yeah,
that,
see that,
that
sure.
For better or worse vow is taken very seriously, very seriously by a lot of our clients, and they see it as, this is my responsibility. And then, of course, sometimes the spouse, first of all, caregiving around the clock, 24/7, is emotionally, psychologically, physically challenging. Right. Sometimes it just becomes too much for one person to do. Sure. And actually, studies show that oftentimes the person providing the care ends up getting sick from the stress and passing away before the person that they're caring for. So being able to get that care, and it's not just the care that we provide, it can be also going out and joining a networking group where they're sitting and talking with other like-minded people going through similar situations, so they can share the stress and the frustrations of the things they're going through, so that they can understand, okay, what I'm feeling is normal. Let's talk through it and get better understanding. Then oftentimes I think that helps them to be more accepting for help as well.
Absolutely. They see other people in their situation doing it, and they, God willing, hear success stories, which I would only give success stories. I'm going to make a quick commercial, but not for anyone in particular, but long-term care insurance. Long-term care insurance is such an important component today. The problem is it has gotten so expensive. I was just talking about this morning, that when I got long-term care insurance when I was 45, my wife was 43. That's the younger end. Typically, I think the average was 55 years old. But my policy went from $4,000 to $8,000 in the last, 20 years. Now, if I bought that policy, it'd be so expensive. The problem is, care is so expensive. And it has nothing to do with you, but more than you, God forbid, if you go to a nursing home, that's just beyond the pale. They're six-figure amounts of money per year. Money that people just don't have. If someone has dementia, could last 10 years in dementia, paying $150,000 a year to be in a home, people don't have that kind of money. You said about half your people, did you say, have long-term care insurance?
Yep.
I'm wondering if you're going to see fewer and fewer as the price has gone up.
I think that probably will be the case. Mm-hmm. There are different types of policies that people can get today. There are straight long-term care, and as you said, the price has doubled. But the cost of care has basically doubled over in the 10 years that we have provided care. The minimum wage when I started in New York was, I think, $8 an hour. Now it's $16 an hour. And,
All right, you're aware.
And home health aides actually have to get paid a minimum wage of $18.55, so that's actually $2.55 above the actual statewide minimum wage. So we, of course, have been forced to raise our prices significantly. You can get long-term care riders attached to like a whole life policy. So there are different types of hybrid policies that people can get. And, maybe you can't get long-term care to cover the full cost of care, but even if you can get it for some portion of the care that you might need. Also, a lot of people aren't aware, like I deal with a lot of people who call me and they tell me that, their mom was a teacher here in New York. I would say 98% of the time when I get that, I'm so excited. I'm like, well, why are you so happy that my mom was a teacher? I'm like, well, I'm about to tell you something that you probably don't know. And that is that as a benefit of being a teacher here in New York State, your mom or your dad has a catastrophic care plan, which is can be similar to a long-term care plan, and it can pay for our services. And those policies, I've seen them range from $100,000 to $1 million. So, the relief that people know that, oh my God, I just found $100,000 or I just found $250,000 to pay towards my mom's care that doesn't have to come out of pocket that they don't necessarily have is life-changing. 90% of people would prefer to stay at home. So to find those funds to help keep them safe and to be able to stay at home, which is their parents' wishes or their spouse's wishes, is just tremendous. So when I tell people that and I make people's day, it's just so rewarding.
Hi, I'm Larry. And I'm Ben. We're the father and son team of Leave the Key Home Buyers, and we want to buy your house.
We specialize in working with seniors who are transitioning out of their homes, and we understand what you are going through.
So if you're considering selling your home and would like an alternative to the traditional overwhelming process, reach out and see how we can help.
Do you have an outdated home?
No need to update anything.
Have a home that needs repairs?
Don't bother with repairs.
Don't want to take everything with you?
Leave whatever you want behind.
Dreading the headaches that come with agents?
Sell your home without paying a commission.
Dreading prying neighbors attending open houses and passing judgment on your home?
No need for public showings.
When you sell to us, you'll have all the certainty of closing on your timeline, not someone else's, and there's absolutely no pressure.
Visit leavethekey.com or call us today for a no-obligation offer at 631-388-7771 if you want to sell your home today.
And long-term care insurance, I think every policy has a home modification feature where there's a certain amount of money, usually it's a multiple of the daily benefit, that they're allowed to actually get ramps put in or things of that nature to help them stay at home where they can then get your service.
Correct. Stair lifts, chair lifts, guide bars, hospital beds, durable medical equipment, the things that, ramps, as you said. Yep. So a lot of those are definitely included in both the catastrophic and the long-term care policies. So
when I was a financial advisor, my clients were retired educators from New York City, and they had the Wohlers Catastrophic. And I remember it had Wohlers. It's since changed names many, many times. But that policy came in handy for many of my clients.
Yep.
So I agree with you that if you're a teacher, you have something you just don't understand the value. That's really important, that people have the ability to pay for care. If you don't have the ability to pay for care, question, someone doesn't have money, they don't have much money, they manage to live on Long Island, it's expensive, they're living hand to mouth, and they have no long-term care insurance, no catastrophic policy. How do they pay for your care? Is there a way?
So we try and find different options for people.
Right.
A lot of the people that we provide care for, probably a third of my current client base are veterans.
Oh.
So through the VA here on Long Island, there are several different programs that people can partake in. One is known as the HHA program. So that would provide 8 to 16 hours a week of care.
Okay.
Not necessarily a tremendous amount of care, but listen, anything is better than nothing.
Right.
So we
8
work
to
with
16 hours. If you just put them dollars and cents,
correct.
That's a lot of dollars.
Correct.
It may not be enough care, but don't dismiss the dollars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's also another program through the VA, especially for people who have less assets, known as the Aid and Attendance Program, which can pay the vet and or their spouse a weekly stipend to pay towards our services. So we have some connections over at the VA where we can put potential vets and their spouses in touch with the VA to help them apply That's a bit of an unwieldy process, as you can imagine. Sometimes dealing with the government can be quite bureaucratic.
Shocking.
But we've helped quite a few people, get that benefit as well, and then worked with them to use that benefit to provide care. So there's some different different sources. Sometimes people, a lot of people who live on Long Island, if they bought their houses in the late 50s, 60s, or early 70s, some people paid $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for their houses, and now their houses are worth $1 million or $1.5 million.
Yeah. So
some people are taking reverse mortgages and using those funds to finance the care that they get.
Right.
So there are definitely some different options. And again, everyone has to figure out what works for them and what's right for them. Sometimes we just have families that you're chipping in, siblings or we've had sisters or brothers,
right?
Different family members that are like, this is my uncle's wish and he wants to stay at home, and I'm going to see to it that we make that happen.
How often? I hate to ask the question. I'm afraid of the answer. Honestly, how often do you find that you want to supply care if there is just no funding for it in any way, shape? You just gave me a whole lot of types of funding, including family. How often do you encounter somebody who just can't get the care they need because the money doesn't exist? One of our biggest problems in America is our healthcare system, and I think this may be an answer.
Yes, I mean I don't know exactly what the percentage is. I would say it's lower than you would think.
That's good to hear.
But we definitely get those phone calls where people will say to us, it's beyond our means.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we try and point them to Medicaid or Medicare, in that situation to try and find some funding. Obviously, with Medicaid, that's a whole application process that can take 3 to 12 months, and then you may not necessarily get the number of hours of care that you want. People sometimes think that their loved one should have 24-hour care, but Medicaid only provides 4 hours a day, 3 times a week. So there's some hurdles there as well. But wherever we can try and help people, we try and point them in the right direction.
You know the resources.
Yes.
So I didn't realize Medicaid covered home care. I didn't know that. I always thought they covered nursing home care, not home care.
Yeah, they do cover some home care as well.
Well, that's good to know. Can you combine Medicaid with things like the VA and other resources?
So you can, once you get Medicaid, you're no longer eligible for the VA resources. There's kind of like a hard red line in there. Right. But there are some other, long-term care can still be combined with that as well.
Okay. That's interesting. It's a real problem. This home care is expensive, but less expensive than nursing home care for sure. For sure. But I said it's a problem. And as America ages, we're baby boomers. As we age, we see this coming down the pike, which is one of the reasons I bought long-term care. The other reason was I was selling it, and I felt if I'm recommending it to clients, I should have it. Now, my clients were 20, 30 years older than me, but I still felt that it was important just to put my money, literally put my money where my mouth is. So we've learned a lot. You've covered a lot. The things we haven't covered that you'd like us to mention. I have one other question for you. I meant to ask you at the beginning. Is Right at Home a franchise?
Yes. So Right at Home is a franchise, been around since 1995, so 29 years. We're the third largest in-home care and assistance company in the nation. There's about 300 or so unique owners with 550 offices nationwide. Mm-hmm. My wife Eileen and I own 2 territories here on Long Island, so we particularly service Plainview to Stony Brook all along the North Shore. And as I said, we've been doing it for 10 and a half, almost 11 years now.
So Plainview to Stony Brook. Okay, right. North Shore. And is North Shore like north of the expressway?
Yeah, pretty much. If you were to look at the map of Long Island, it's kind of like from Plainview to Stony Brook. If you looked at the LIE, it's kind of like all those towns.
Got it.
LIE and above.
That's a sizable area.
It is a sizable area.
So the reason I wanted to ask, being a business person myself, I may be asking this question for my own benefit. You started the business, and by joining a franchise, by buying a franchise. How quickly were you able to get up and running right away as a result? Because they've supplied everything to you. You have a proven model, so you're able to provide excellent service from day one.
So one of the things that my wife and I really liked about joining the franchise was that there's a successful model. There's other successful owners, so you have resources, people you can reach out to. Now every area is different. Taking care of people in New York is not necessarily the same thing as taking care of people in Boise, Idaho, or Sioux Falls. But there are Illinois, Florida, California. There are other places in New York, New Jersey. There were, that kind of have similar models. So that was definitely appealing. We got to a gentleman that I worked with for about 10 years on Wall Street. He had left Wall Street a little bit before I did, and he bought a right-at-home franchise up in Connecticut. So my wife and I got to go up and meet. He was running the franchise with his wife.
Right.
So we got to go up and meet with him, sit down, and kind of hear his story, why he got involved, and it made sense based on our own story.
Right.
And then once we met the corporate team at Right at Home, we really kind of felt like this was the right situation for us. We felt like that they were the right people, had the right approach, right mission, right services. So which is kind of like our theme. So we felt like this was really the right situation for us, and we were able to kind of get up and running pretty quickly. Our particular office, we were like the rookie of the year, the head of class for 5 years. We were probably the fastest growing office in the whole network for probably the first 7 years we were in business. So thankfully things worked out, very, very well for us.
That's interesting. Also, the fact that you're a family business, you and your wife, because my business is I was financial services with my father and in real estate with my son. So the idea of having a family business always excites me. I can't think of anything better. And I was lucky enough to spend 30 years with my father. If I can spend 30 years with my son, can it get a better career than that?
Absolutely.
So if there's one takeaway that you'd like people to get from our discussion, what would that be?
So I think the big takeaway from Right at Home is that, we offer the whole gamut of care. Obviously, people know that home care is very people-oriented, and we are providing, companionship. We're providing personal care. So, we deal with people's hygiene, toileting, bathing, dressing. We're doing med reminders, meal preparation, laundry, all the things that people come to think of when they come with home care. Over the past year, we have basically brought on some technology.
Right.
We've actually partnered with a company called Sensi. They're an Israeli-based AI company. So the way Sensi works is they place 3 audio pods, or we place 3 audio pods throughout the house. And over the course of the first week, basically the artificial intelligence learns what's normal for John Doe, the client. After the first week, if John Doe normally goes to the bathroom, let's say 5 times between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., well, if John Doe goes to the bathroom 10 times, maybe John Doe has a urinary tract infection.
Right.
It's not a PERS system, a personal response system.
Okay.
But if somebody falls, crashes, if they say, "Oh, I've fallen and I can't get up," the audio pods will hear it. It's all HIPAA compliant. 99% of what Sensi hears just basically gets completely erased.
Right.
So what it allows us to do is not everybody can either afford or want 24/7 hour care. So for a lot of our clients who maybe need 4 hours 3 times a week now, if we go in and we put Sensi in, it helps us learn more about the clients, and it provides technology when we can't be there to provide that hands-on care. And sometimes it tells us that, hey, maybe John Doe does need more days, more hours, and we can get some evidence. We can go back to the family and say, hey, this is what's going on with your dad. You're not there. You don't really know, but this is what we've learned over the course of a month or 2 months of having the Sensi in the house. As an example, we were taking care of a couple, and the husband passed away, and so we put the Sensi in the house, and then over the course of the first week, what we heard was every night the wife, now widow, was having suicidal ideations. Every night at 9 o'clock. So what we did was we told the family, hey, spread the responsibility. The sons, the daughters, grandchildren, every night at 8:30, someone should call grandma. Keep her on the phone for 20 minutes, 25, ask her about her day, what's going on. And the suicidal ideations went away. Like just that, that connection with the family kind of got her through that dark period every night. So these are some of the things that that the Sensi we use, and how we use it, and how it's I think it's a really nice tie-in with the hands-on personal care that we bring to the table.
That's a phenomenal story. I haven't heard that. AI is this big scary thing going on. It's all over the news. Is it good? Is it bad? Will it get out of control? But that's an unbelievable use. Now, does that go in when you start care? Were you putting it in prior to care so you know what kind of care they...
No, it's when we start, and not everybody wants it. Some
Right.
people have some objections to technology. There's no cameras.
Right.
I think one of the things that scares people about technology is cameras in the house.
Yeah.
So this is strictly audio pods, and as I said, 99% of what it hears gets erased.
Right.
It isn't saved anywhere, so that allays a lot of fears. But usually it's when we start care. So then it takes a week for the AI to hear enough
Right.
to basically build the AI case for that particular client.
Right. Has to learn.
Correct.
To learn. That's fascinating. I've never heard of that. I have no idea how many people are using that. Is this something absolutely brand new?
So the product itself has been around for a couple of years, but
Right.
AI itself is,
Right.
if you look at the trajectory, it's,
Oh, gosh.
it's like a mountain
Straight
slope.
up,
It's a straight up slope. So the learning portion of it has just been so incremental over the last 2 or 3 years, especially that this product I think is definitely awesome. Another thing that we use it for is for medication. Like a lot of our clients, if they live by themselves, sometimes we can hear them say, "Oh, I didn't take my medicine. Did I take my medicine?" So when we hear that, when Sensi hears that, we get an alert. Like whenever there's an alert, it comes right to our office. So we can, if we have a caregiver who's coming in later in the day, we can say, "Hey, remind them, take a look at the pill box, make sure that the morning medicine was taken, when you get there at 1 o'clock, because it may not have been taken." Or sometimes we send our nurse or our social worker
Right.
out to visit. Or we can also just call a family member.
Right.
Sometimes there's a family member that lives nearby and say, "Hey, John, your father just said something about his medication. We don't know if he took it or didn't take it, but you're around the corner. Maybe you can just kind of pop in and, call him, remind him, pop in." So there's a lot of case uses where this is extremely effective.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I have a question. You'd mentioned how you'll hear this and somebody will call, the family member to say, check with mom or dad. I know a number of times we called you guys at some crazy hour and somebody was always either answering the phone or responding very quickly. What does your day look like? Because I know I work like a 24-hour day. I imagine you may have the same thing.
Yeah. So from an office perspective,
Yeah.
I mean, our office is open 8 to 5,
Right.
7 days a week.
7 days a week.
But we always have somebody on call. So as soon as the doors to the physical office closes,
Right.
we have somebody on call. So,
Is that a service? Or something?
no, we've hired, we
Okay.
specifically hire for
Okay.
for this role.
Good.
So they get to really know our clients.
Right.
They get to really know our caregivers. So, if a caregiver calls and their child is sick and they're not going to be able to make it to their overnight shift,
Right.
they'll be on call and say, "Hey, I can't make it to my, I got to take my son to the emergency room, or she's got a fever."
Right.
So we constantly, as far as as my day, I mean, I can tell you that I started this business, as I said, 11 years ago. I haven't had a day off. I mean, I go on vacation,
Right.
but there's not a day that it goes by where I am not checking my phone, checking my emails, speaking with my office. I mean, this job is a 24/7 passion for me. So, and it's great. It's, it's very, very rewarding.
I imagine it is. The old line, people become entrepreneurs because they don't want to work a 40-hour week, and instead they work an 80-hour week, right?
Yeah.
So it seems like your business is the same thing. I got to tell you, I want to thank you, one, personally, because the way you guys took care of my mom, it was just phenomenal, and for joining me today. I think there was a lot to glean from our session, and I hope people get something out of this.
As I said, thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure. First of all, it was a pleasure taking care of your parents and getting to know you and your sister over that time, and it's obviously a pleasure being here and speaking to your community.
Very good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Unlocking Senior Resources podcast by Leave the Key. If you've enjoyed this episode or found it helpful, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast. We specialize in working with seniors who are transitioning out of their homes, and we understand what you are going through. So if you are considering selling your home and would like an alternative to the traditional overwhelming process, reach out to see how we can help. When working with us, you can sell your home in its current condition, there is no need to remove unwanted items, and you control when the house is sold, along with so many other advantages. Visit leavethekey.com or call us at 631-388-7771 to learn more about our senior home buying process.